All right, everyone, welcome to the Fall 2023 Housing Self-Assignment tutorial. Today we're going to go through the self-assignment system to show you a little bit more about how it works and what it's going to look like so that you will feel prepared for tomorrow and the next week's self-assignment selection. So self-assignment works a little bit like choosing your seats on an airplane or at a concert. Basically, whatever is available in this system that you are eligible for, you'll be able to select so long as the space is available. So the later on in the self-assignment process, the less options you're going to see. The nice thing though about self-assignment is that it's constantly changing. It's always fluid. So anytime a student cancels or switches to a different room, that room will immediately become available to someone else. So as we go through this, I'll show you a little bit more about the things to look for, how you can speed up the process for yourself, and then what you'll need to do if you have a roommate request in mind. So let's get started. So you'll go to the housing portal just as you would through the Banner Services page. Go to MyTSU, Banner Services, then Student, then Housing, and then click on this RMS Student Web link for housing. This takes you to the main housing landing page, which is basically where everything housing is done here at TSU. Now, self-assignment's only going to be available to our returning and continuing students, so we're going to click on that icon, and then we're going to click on this self-assignment button to get to the main self-assignment page. So from here, it's pretty clean. You can practice self-assignment now. If you do accidentally click this button on the date of self-assignment, it's going to say in bright red writing here, this is the practice tutorial for self-assignment. Nothing is going to get saved if you use this template. So this is why you really do want to read this first screen carefully and make sure that you haven't accidentally clicked on a practice tutorial, because you'll never actually be able to save your room selection at this point. And actually the rooms that are shown in the practice tutorial are different than the rooms that are ultimately bookable. So we're going to go ahead and hit cancel on this and X out, because we want to do a real self-assignment go. So at the top of this page, you'll also notice that there's a self-assignment start date. For me, I opened this up to myself yesterday so that we could do a little bit of testing. Your actual self-assignment date will show up at the time as well as with the time. I'm going to click on self-assignment here. Because my date has already passed, it's the 25th, that showed that I had access beginning on the 24th, I have access to come in and select my room. So our housing agreements are for both the fall and the spring terms, unless you cancel by our deadlines. So you will not be able to change which terms you're booking for. If you do plan to study abroad or know that you're not going to be returning for the spring for another reason, you will have the opportunity to cancel. But just remember, we do need those cancellations in writing and by our deadline, so before the end of the fall semester ends. From here, you will select your fall application, or it's already pre-selected for you. You'll hit next, and this is where you'll be able to see the available rooms. So when you do lock a room, it's going to show up with a lock here in the top right hand corner. So something to keep in mind. Now, if you know exactly what type of room that you're going for, you can actually select in this room type dropdown and take a look at what is available. Now, for example, if you are an upperclassman student and you are not eligible for an apartment, you will not actually be able to see any of the apartment rooms here. For me, in this case, I am an upperclassman with over 60 credits. However, all of our Ford and NRC apartments have already been selected. There are none available for me to select, which is why I do not see it as an option here. So again, as the week goes on and more people select into rooms, there is quite the possibility that there will be no more Best Western single rooms available, or there will be no more Ford or NRC apartments available. So if you do not see it in the drop down, it's one of two reasons. It's either that you don't qualify for that building. So again, if that's Ford or NRC, you do not meet the 60 credit requirement. Or if you don't see Hale, it's because you are not a 3.0 or higher student and are not a part of the Honors College. But if you do see it as an option, that means you are eligible and that is available for you to select. So I am vying for a single room. I can see here that there are no single rooms available in the new hall, which was my first choice, but I'm okay with taking another single room. So I'm going to go ahead and select this House of God single room and search it. Before, you might have noticed here it said that there were like 695 or 94 spaces for me to select from. Those are all the eligible spaces I was able to choose from. Now that I have limited it to just House of God, I can open up this drop down and see just the 17 single rooms that are available at House of God. So you can see they're spread through the different buildings here. And I lived in Keith last year. Again, I was trying to go to the new hall. That's not available to me anymore. So I said, you know what? I really liked living at House of God. I have my own car. I don't mind driving to campus when the shuttle service doesn't work with my schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and select a single room over here because I really do want a room to myself. So again, you'll click these little arrows, which will ultimately open up a more defined drop down, and click on the select button to lock the room. That room locks for 7 minutes. Now, the reason why it does lock for 7 minutes is because if you're talking to a roommate, you would say to that roommate, hey, I'm locking up House of God, K, room 110. That locks it for 10 minutes while you're on the phone. Your roommate, if you guys have a self-selection time at the same time, can actually go in and see if there's any other better options while you've locked this room. And because this is a single room, I'm not reliant on someone else making that decision or agreeing with this decision. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit next here at the bottom. You'll also book your meal plan. Keep in mind, we can, in central office, upgrade your meal plan if you don't choose a required plan. So for House of God, that is a 150 meals or a 5-day requirement. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the 150 meals. I'm going to hit select. I'm going to hit finish and book my plan. So once I hit finish, that actually, the lock will go away because that booking is now mine. This shows that the room selection was successful. And then I also am going to get an immediate email saying that this room has been booked for me. So we're going to go ahead here and talk through what it would look like if you wanted to have a roommate request as well.